they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. With my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. Oh my goodness, I forgot to put on my earphones. Hold on. Okay, so thank you for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. But before we do, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. You can just look for Lisa Crafts. And also, don't forget you can find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. All right, hello, Nessie X. DJ Big Six is in the house. Sheila is here. All right, Juju B, Lillian X. All right, Claudette Mel is here. Panther Strike. All right, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Anita Harrell. Okay, so let's get into it. And a big shout out to my moderators for putting in work. I see you, we the people. Okay, Deronda is here. Okay, so yes, happy birthday, Darnell. Peace, love, and blessings to you, beloved. Okay, 504 Nola is in the house. Okay, so with that all being said, let's talk about it, you guys, because guess what? It looks like the judge in Diddy's case might be a bit inexperienced, okay? He might be a bit inexperienced because it seems like he's having some issues with coming up with Diddy's sentence. Okay, so he has asked both the prosecution and the defense to basically bring him some examples of cases where someone has been convicted of the Mann Act and then they have no previous charges that they were convicted of. So, but I'm thinking all he had to do was look at the sentencing guidelines. I mean, that's what I did. I just looked at the sentencing guidelines because in federal court, that's what the judges go by, the sentencing guidelines, okay? So I don't know why he needs them to bring him cases. And couldn't he look the cases up himself? I just have several questions, okay? It sounds like he's confused and inexperienced and doesn't really know what to do or how to sentence Diddy. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention. Now, mind you, the prosecution has asked for 63 months, which is a little over 5 years. And according to the sentencing guidelines, Diddy could get anywhere, if we're just going by the guidelines, as I told you before, Diddy could get anywhere from 21 to 31 months. Okay? That's how that's supposed to go. Now, I don't know what the Deronda call him a Timu judge. Okay, I just have questions at the end of the day. How could the judge not know or be able to come up with a sentencing himself? Okay, so anyway. But meanwhile, let's talk about D.L. Hughley. Because D.L. Hughley had a whole lot to say. Okay, D.L. Hughley had a whole lot to say about people who were celebrating when Diddy got off on the most serious charges. He said these people are morally bankrupt celebrating the Diddy verdict. So let's talk about it because D.L. needs to sit down somewhere because I'm going to tell y'all in a minute why he's, in fact, morally bankrupt. Okay, hashtag no cap. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Now, DL Hughley is not here for anybody celebrating Diddy Combs amid the partial not guilty verdict in his controversial trafficking trial. While speaking to TMZ, the comedian explained that while he believed the disgraced hip-hop mogul was overcharged, the trial revealed stuff that is amoral. He says, I think that it's clear that Puffy wasn't charged for the things he did. He was charged in this vague, amorphous, the judge, even during the trial, you could see he was having a hard time buying it. This is what he says. I think it shows two things. Money will buy a great defense. I think if he's charged and he has a public defender, he's convicted. Yeah. Everybody should know it's common sense. We don't even need critical thinking skills to decipher that, of course, if you have money, you can buy a great defense. And of course, if you have a public defender, you just might get convicted because you see, the public defenders, they work for the state. So what they usually do, and specifically because of their backed up case overload, they try to get their clients to take plea deals. Just try to get them to plead out rather than actually going to trial. That's what they often do in most cases. And these are for the people that can't afford adequate counsel. Okay, so do you think they're really going to work so hard? Okay, if the person's not paying them. So anyway, he says they didn't charge him for domestic abuse. They charged him for all these terms that they just couldn't prove. And whose fault is that? Okay, whose fault is that? Now, the conversation turned to not just the trial, but the widespread reaction. Combs was found guilty on 2 federal counts of transporting women across state lines for the purpose of prostitution and acquitted of racketeering and trafficking charges. Now, after the verdict was revealed, many took to social media to celebrate the victory, including Kim Porter's former best friend, Tiny Harris, and Boosie Badass. Additionally, after the verdict, several people gathered outside the courthouse and publicly doused themselves in baby oil. He says, I think there are people who are morally bankrupt, and I say that all the time. Okay? Here's the thing, DL. Here's the thing. I want y'all to pay attention because I absolutely was celebrating, honey. Yes, I was. Y'all saw me. Here's the thing, though. This is his opinion, and he's entitled to it. But at the end of the day, if people want to celebrate, they're entitled to that too. And I wasn't celebrating Diddy per se. I was celebrating the wheels of justice and how they turned in the right direction this time. You see, because at the end of the day, nobody should ever be convicted solely on things that they didn't do or things that they couldn't prove, okay? They didn't have enough of the evidence, and quite frankly, the things that they were charging Diddy with, he actually didn't do, okay? He was not some mob boss over a criminal enterprise. That's what he wasn't, okay? He was not trafficking. That's not what he was doing. And so with that all being said, yes, they overcharged him. And if people want to celebrate that justice was served, then so be it, DL. But what I find most interesting about DL's comments is how dare he try to talk down on somebody else and say people are morally bankrupt when this is the same man. I want y'all to pay attention. And I've told you all this before. This is the same man whose daughter came to him and said that she was assaulted. Okay, y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? And then he said out of his own mouth, I showed you all the video before, I'm not going to dig it up now, but he said out of his own mouth that he didn't believe her because the person that she was accusing was a friend, someone that he liked. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Okay, I mean, how can he? You didn't believe your own damn daughter, but you want to go in on people because they celebrated the verdict? Like, sir, sit down somewhere. DJ Big Six said he didn't believe her. Exactly. Who doesn't believe their own child when it comes to something like that? Who doesn't support their own child? And while we're talking about morals, DL, let's get into it. Didn't DL Hughley have a baby behind his own wife's back? He wants to talk about immorality. Okay, he wants to talk about people being immoral. He had a whole baby behind his wife's back. Sadly, the poor baby died. The child died. And he still says that he was giving money to the mother of that child even after the child passed away. Okay, so I'm sorry. He should be the last one to cast stones. All right? That's what he needs to do, is sit down somewhere, honey. Okay? Panther Strike said, yes, he did, Queen. Okay. I mean, really, the nerve of him. And what DL is too ignorant to realize is this. The same as many people in our community are too ignorant to realize. We were not just celebrating, the verdict, not because of Diddy. We were celebrating it because, as I told you all, they were trying to set a precedent. Okay. And had they done that, they could be locking black men up left and right, because we see that they seldom go after white men with a Mann Act. I mean, they had all the opportunity to go after Governor Spitzer in 2008. Okay. So he was doing basically the same thing they say Diddy was doing, but they didn't go after him, okay, because he had the complexion for the protection. Meanwhile, the black lady that was involved in that, Tamika, I think Smith is her last name, well, she was convicted of it, okay? Yeah, that's how that went. Okay, Tree says, hey, Queen, glad you home safe and sound. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. I am too, honey. And thank you for the contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so honey, let's continue, because DL says, even if Puffy wasn't convicted of the most serious crimes, he still whooped a woman in front of everybody. Now he wasn't charged for that, and the feds wouldn't charge him for that. Obviously, the feds wouldn't be involved in something like that, but it speaks to who we are as a society. Even if he's not guilty of the crimes charged, he is a horrible dude. I can root for a man to get justice. That's different than celebrating this verdict. There are two different things. Okay, well, here's the thing. You know why I find this all so hypocritical? Because let me tell y'all something. Anybody that had a problem with anybody celebrating Diddy's verdict, specifically if you're a black person, let me tell y'all something. I find it interesting because black people also celebrated OJ's verdict. And OJ was convicted of far worse than Diddy. He was convicted of a double homicide. DL, I didn't hear you say anything about that. In fact, I think you also were celebrating DL, if I can recall. If I can recall, DL, weren't you celebrating OJ getting off on a whole double homicide, honey? Okay, yeah, many black people were celebrating that, and y'all know damn well OJ did it, okay? Please miss me with it, but let's continue. Now, goes on to say, this is what I call selective outrage, is all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying. He continued to say they clearly charged him and overcharged him, and I think there was a racial component. Oh, so you actually do know and feel that there was a racial component. So do we, sir, which is why we celebrate it. You see, because here's the thing, and I want you all to pay attention to this. Specifically, those of you who have been talking slick in the comments. I don't see any of them now, but the ones who've been talking slick in the comment, here's the thing. There was a racial component. And I told you all that when I got there in that courtroom to see it with my own two eyes, that's exactly what I saw, was a whole lot of racial bias and disparity. With that being said, I'm never going to go along with racism and racial bias. Okay, I'm not going to ever go along with that for any degree, even if the person is a whole monster. Because guess what? If you'll go along with it and turn a blind eye when they do it to him, then you'll do the same when they do it to somebody else. And then one day they just might do it to you or someone that you care about. You see, that's how that goes. Okay, we should not ever want anybody to go to prison for things which they did not do. Okay, now everybody knows that Diddy did the domestic violence. We all saw it. We all know. But like I said, sadly, they didn't charge him for that. Okay, so Dion needs to sit down somewhere, but let's let him cook because he thought he was saying something. So anyway, he goes on to say, and I think there was a racial component. There's no denying it. To me, to celebrate it, he wasn't convicted of the most serious charges, but we still found out a lot of stuff that is amoral. According to CNN, Combs will be sentenced in a hearing set to be held on October the 3rd. He faces up to 10 years in prison on each count and will remain behind bars until this date. So, like I said, DL's the last one who needs to be trying to talk. When it comes to things that pertain to morality, he needs to be silent. If I were him, I wouldn't say a word, because we could always go back to what he did to his own child. Okay? To his own child. And while Diddy was accused of trafficking and the RICO, which they couldn't prove, the bottom line is he didn't do it. That's why they couldn't prove it. But DL, somebody actually did assault your daughter, according to her. And you didn't believe her, sir. So you need to have several seats in an empty stadium. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Let's continue because now Tony Buzby has stepped into the chat, and Tony Buzby has said that Diddy accusers keep flooding the hotline. All right, so let's get into it because Tony Buzby, you are nothing but an ambulance chaser. Texas lawyer maintains victims' call center amid legal battles. So the phone lines haven't stopped ringing at attorney Tony Buzby's Houston office, where a dedicated hotline continues receiving calls from the individuals claiming connections to Sean Diddy Combs, despite the music mogul's recent courtroom developments. Buzby, who's 56 years old, by the way, he looks older, but anyway, established the specialized call center months ago when he began filing civil suits against the Bad Boy Records founder. The veteran Texas litigator maintains the hotline remains active, with operators fielding new allegations and witness accounts daily. Here's the thing. Why are people still calling Tony Buzby if they in fact actually are? Because I don't believe anything this man says after he got Little Miss Jane Doe to make up a whole lie on Jay-Z and Diddy. And then he couldn't back up any of those claims. Did he really vet her properly? I don't think so. So anyway, goes on to say the attorney emphasized that real victims often hesitate before stepping forward, and he remains committed to listening to their stories and determining how he might assist them through legal channels. Now, the hotline's initial launch generated unprecedented response volumes within its first day of operation. The dedicated line reportedly logged more than thousands of incoming calls from alleged victims, potential witnesses, and individuals claiming knowledge of events surrounding the allegations against Combs. Why didn't those people go to the prosecution and testify against him? Okay, this overwhelming response prompted Buzby's team to expand their call center operations, adding additional staff to handle the continuing influx of communications. The attorney described the volume of information collected as substantial, with his legal team now managing extensive databases of testimony, photographic evidence, video materials, text messages exchanged, and police reports and hospital records. Now, the entertainment executive recently faced federal charges during a lengthy trial in New York. They're talking about Diddy. While acquitted on trafficking charges, Combs was convicted on transportation to engage in prostitution. This mixed verdict means the hip-hop entrepreneur avoids the potential life sentence he originally faced, though he still awaits sentencing scheduled in October. Legal experts suggest that his prison time may be limited, marking a dramatic shift from initial predictions about his legal fate. Despite these criminal case developments, Buzby emphasized that his civil litigation strategy remains unchanged. Okay, so he says he's still filing lawsuits, y'all. I don't know how credible they are or if they're in fact just frivolous. Okay, I don't know. Now, with that all being said, oh, and I forgot to tell you all, there's breaking news that just came in. They said the FBI is hunting for a man who appeared to shoot ICE agents. Honey, let me pull this up. I should have got into this first. This literally came up right before agents. Hold on, there's a manhunt supposedly. Let me go to it. Hold on. Nudgy Studio says, what morality do you have, sir? If you think your child is a liar, you're a liar. Do you raise liars? Okay. Like, why wouldn't he believe his own child for something so serious? Do you understand how traumatizing that can be for a child to go to their parent whom they trust and is supposed to be there to protect and defend them at all costs? But for that parent to sit there and say they don't believe you because they want to side with a person just because they like them, that's absolutely crazy. That is absolutely crazy to me. But hey, DL, I think you're morally bankrupt.
We'll start with this Fox News alert. The FBI is offering a big reward for information regarding a protester who appeared to fire a gun at federal agents during a California immigration raid yesterday.
Jackie Heinrich joins us live from the White House. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning to you guys. The FBI is offering $50,000 to anyone who helps them identify and convict a protester who allegedly fired a gun at federal immigration officers. That moment was captured by local news cameras. Federal immigration officers were carrying out a raid with a search warrant at a Southern California marijuana facility. Hundreds of protesters swarmed that area despite warnings from the U.S. attorney, who told them not to interfere or they'd be charged with a federal offense. There were no reports of any injuries, but the video appears to show that man shooting a pistol at law enforcement agents. California Governor Gavin Newsom tried to politicize the moment, posting kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken from the fields. Trump calls me new scum, but he's the real scum. The CBP commissioner, Rodney Scott, replied to that, saying, here's some breaking news. 10 juveniles were found at this marijuana facility, all illegal aliens, 8 of them unaccompanied. It's now under investigation for child labor violations. This is Newsom's California. Authorities are sounding the alarm that escalating anti-ICE rhetoric could carry deadly consequences. But California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla is defending his proposal that would mandate ICE wear visible identification and ban them from concealing their faces during most operations, posting to X, in a democracy, no one should have to guess if they're being handcuffed by real law enforcement or armed imposters. My bill defends against unchecked power and unconstitutional overreach. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons tells Fox he doesn't love the masks, but they're necessary right now.
If you looked at the beginning of this administration, you looked even in December, November of last year, we weren't wearing masks. ICE agents weren't wearing masks because they weren't afraid of their information being doxxed, their photos taken, addresses posted. While I'm not a fan of the masks, I think we could do a better, but we need to protect our agents and officers, and I fully support them in that.
DHS says ICE agents have faced a near 700% increase in assaults recently, Griff.
All right, Jackie, thank you very much. And let's just put this in perspective for our viewers.
Okay, so you all heard that, honey. It's getting to be the wild, wild west out here. Please pay attention. Panther Strike said he should be sued. Okay, Buzby is an ambulance chaser, targets black folks for a bag. Absolutely, he does. That's exactly what he does. Okay, that Crazy Beach Air said I'm watching Queen on the big screen. Okay, so shooting at ICE agents is diabolical work. They need to be locked straight up. Okay, so now, with that all being said, let's go to this video. I'm going to play a clip. This is from Conversations with Jay. He had a gentleman on his live last night who was very insightful. This man was very insightful. He gave some good information. I absolutely was here for it. Okay, I absolutely was here for it. He was talking about Diddy's case. I'm going to share my screen so you all can hear this. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. This brother knew what he was talking about, is all I'm saying, okay? And shout out to J-Con for having him on the show. Now, I'll put it overly on here because I don't have permission to use this, even though I'm sure he won't mind. But nonetheless.
Originally, everyone's for it because it's to take down the big guy. But then it always tricked.
Hold on, let me go back just a little bit. Okay.
How hard they were going for something that I felt like, while it was a travesty, it didn't look good at the time. I said, well, what's the bigger story behind this? Because why are they, for example, why are they going so hard at this man, for, again, because we all know they went for him before, and I'll tell you guys more about that later, but why are they doing this all of a sudden? And it doesn't really make sense. So my problem was the way they were wording everything, right?
Right.
You flew this girl out from, here to there, and, you yes meant no, and, no means yes, and you have to know that sometimes just because she said yes yesterday doesn't mean she, consents today. I was like, this is just all too confusing. And my thing is, when they started the RICO, right? The RICO was started for like guys who couldn't be touched, Al Capone, mobsters, guys who never did crimes. So because they never actually did crimes, they couldn't be touched, but they were still leaders of a criminal organization. But the only people they could get is the low-level people who are actually doing the physical crime.
Right. So
I always want people to remember, that's what I said on my page, that's how they started. But if you go into the black communities and you go into the, let's just say the poorer communities, because not just black, but the poorer community, you'll notice that they use this to round up people who 50, 60, 70 people. I've seen guys who got caught up in a RICO per se because they said what's up to a guy who was a gang member who lived in their building, right? People who can't afford to defend themselves, people who, one guy I know for sure, he worked at UPS, never did anything wrong a day in his life. Only thing he did wrong was every day he lived in the projects. So every day when he came home, he would say, hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Stand outside with the fellas, maybe, hang out with them, talk a little bit, and go in his house. Unfortunately, he got caught up in, some pictures being taken. And the next thing I know, this dude is in prison fighting a RICO case. He worked for UPS. Never did anything wrong, went to school, played basketball, which is how I know him. And he worked for UPS. So I understand how they mutate these laws. And originally, everyone's for it because it's to take down the big guy. But then it always trickles down to the people who can't defend themselves.
Right.
So the biggest problem was that, when you have something like this with Diddy, it starts with a Diddy. Next thing you know, it's used to take down, the regular everyday person because maybe he flew this girl out and something happens and now all of a sudden she's upset. Or maybe this guy is just a guy they want to get. And over the last 10 years or 5 years or whatever the statute is, he flew maybe 6, 7 girls out to have fun with him. And now all of a sudden, it's turned into a criminal RICO case or whatever because the law says precedent. So if Diddy gets convicted for this, now that's the law. You know what I mean? So now it makes it that much easier for them to get someone for whatever reason they want to get him for.
Now I want you all to really pay attention to what he's saying because this is absolutely what I told you all. Okay, this is exactly what I was saying, and this is why some of us were celebrating. It wasn't for Diddy. It was for the wheels of justice turning in the right direction. At the end of the day, if they could have gotten Diddy on those larger, more serious crimes, then they'd have been doing that to so many more Black people, and that's just how it goes. And y'all know it's the truth.
Right? And to me, I always tell people you have to be careful how you allow the government to set precedents because it'll be this, and then next thing you know, it'll mutate into that. And that's very dangerous. Correct. So I think the thing that America was started on was people wanting to protect our liberties, to protect our freedoms, right? So when you allow the government to just do what they want and, invent laws, that's a bad thing. So my problem was that they were so easy to get us and turn our people against Diddy. Someone who did so much for our community, whether it be entertain us, make us rich.
Go into that a little bit more, if you don't mind, because you and I have had conversations about this behind the scenes. But you said something. It's so easy for them to get us within our community to go against us.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you guys what really made me passionate about this case. Right around September, when I did that Instagram post, I was doing a nice size real estate deal. So I was, in Jersey, and there was a couple of guys. I'm going to say there was, I believe, 3 white men, right? There was a lady who was maybe I think she was Indian or Hispanic, one of the two. And it was me, right? So one of the guys, while we're sitting down, after the deal is done, we're having a few drinks. And he said, hey, man, they got your boy Diddy. What do you think about that? So I said, I don't know. It's pretty soon, but, it's kind of, I don't like how the community isn't, I don't like how they're coming for him and, villainizing him. And, this whole thing just started.
Right.
Say, yeah, well, that's your people. And, when people get drunk, they speak a little bit more freely. So that's what he said. That's your people. So I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, you don't see, it's really just the Black people coming for him. Exactly. You don't see, other people. He's like, I say, yeah, man, it's really messed up. And he was like, it's just a shame that it's so easy to get someone, when people don't protect their own. Mm. And I said, damn, so let me ask you something. So if we're from Jersey, those guys are from Jersey. And I was like, so if it was somebody that you like let's just say a Bruce Springsteen from New Jersey. And the other guy, whoa, not Bruce, right? So I'm like, can't come for Bruce. So I'm like, so we can't say anything bad about Bruce or Elvis or, Elvis married underage. That's a fact, right? His image is not tainted. right? His image wasn't tainted because he's Elvis, right? So I just feel like it's messed up how every prominent Black person that we've had in our community, at some point, somehow they've taken them down for the most part, right? And we don't protect our own. So that was embarrassing to me, to sit in front of a bunch of people who basically pointed out that we have no loyalty to each other as a people.
He's absolutely right. We don't have loyalty to each other as a people, and I've told you all that a myriad of times. I've told you all that if Caucasian people have 100 issues and they disagree on 99 and only agree on just one, that's enough for them to unite. They will stick together and they will protect and defend their own, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. But Black people, what we do is we can have 100 issues, disagree on one thing, and agree on 99. But that one thing that we disagree on will be enough for us to throw each other under the bus. Okay, and that's just the fact. Okay, now I'm going to fast forward to where the part where he plays Megyn Kelly going in so hard on the paint on Diddy. I mean, she was so mad, she was livid. She was cursing and everything.
Hidden thanks to those security guards out there, then they could never charge him with that again. There's no question. He dragged her back into that hotel room. Why wasn't that kidnapping? They only talked about the kidnapping of Capricorn Clark, who was his sort of main assistant, because she said he grabbed her and made her go with him over to Kid Cudi's house. There's no question he broke into Kid Cudi's house, in my view, and that he opened up the Christmas presents, locked the door in, and made a threat. There's no question in my mind he was behind the arson of Kid Cudi's car, and there was proof, plenty of proof to prove that. There was female fingerprints they found on that the firebomb that was left there, the Molotov cocktail. And the prosecution said there's no question he didn't do it himself, but he said, I'm going to bomb Kid Cudi's car. It's in writing. Cassie Ventura emailed her mother saying, oh my God, he's threatening to bomb his car. And 2 weeks later, it got bombed. Oh, gee, it was just some third party who also had, it's just like the proof was there.
Pause that real quick. See, put up that email for the people to read. Just read it for us if you don't mind. Put up that. I don't know how many lies we just heard, but the last one was the funniest one to me. The last one was the funniest one to me, where she said it was in writing. He tried to do it, and she sent it to her mother. Where's that email? Put up that email. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So the email says the threats that has been made towards me by Sean Puffy Combs are that. He is going to release 2 explicit S-tapes of me, one on Christmas Day, maybe before or right after, and another one sometime soon after that. He has also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott Miscuddy physically. He made a point that it wouldn't be by his hands. He actually said he'd be out of the country when it happened.
All right. Where's he sent an email. She sent an email to her mother threatening to blow up Kid Cudi's car. Where was that part?
Now, you all see how Megyn Kelly just lied. So if you weren't in the court, or you're not keeping up with all the updates, or you haven't read the transcripts, people might have believed her. Many people believed her, just like they believe the other liar who lies. But here's what I thought was interesting. Megyn Kelly was going in so hard in the paint on Diddy, talking about he dragged her back to the hotel room. No, he didn't actually drag her back to the hotel room. I was in court. We saw the full video. He didn't drag her back to the hotel room and make her do the freak off. She actually left with the security. The security also asked if she wanted to call the police, in which she didn't. But here's another thing. Megyn Kelly's going so hard in on the paint for Diddy. But listen to this. Megyn Kelly takes swipe at Pete Hegseth. Let me just show this on the screen. Well, no, I'm not going to show it on the screen because I still have this video up. I want to play something else on here. Megyn Kelly takes swipe at Pete Hegseth not being marriage material while defending him from sexual assault allegations. A woman accused Pete Hegseth of assaulting her in Monterey, California in 2017. Okay, so again, selective outrage. Former Fox News host Megyn Kelly attacked her ex-colleague Pete Hegseth's marriage history, but still defended him against sexual assault allegations. Okay? And this is the person that Trump picked for defense secretary. So I just want you all to pay attention because she's sitting here going in so hard in the paint. Okay, so mad that she's literally cursing. All right, isn't she the same one that said shut up and dribble? Okay, so I find that interesting. But let me go to one more clip where this is a clip of the S worker talking about Cassie again. This is the part that I didn't play for you guys.
Just 4 sessions in with my dietitian.
Sex. That's the exact opposite. He was abusive because he would catch us having sex behind his back. She would emasculate him about his penis size because he's not that big. She would always get smart with him. And Diddy, from
play it one more time. Play it one more time for the people who just filing in.
I would tell you the truth because that's what this is about. You know, Diddy might have did a lot of bad stuff. He's horribly abusive to women. We all know this. This is his track record, but he does not deserve an unfair trial. And if there's evidence that says that Cassie's involved, they should not be holding that to make her look like this holier than art thou battered woman. He was abusive. He was abusive, but he wasn't abusive because she didn't want to have sex. That's the exact opposite. He was abusive because he would catch us having sex behind his back. She would emasculate him about his penis size because he's not that big. She would always get smart with him. And Diddy, from what...
There we go.
Now y'all heard that. Did y'all hear that? I find that all very interesting. Okay? I find that all very interesting. So he says that Cassie would emasculate him by talking about the size of his cucumber. And that he would get violent when she would have sex with the workers behind his back. See, that's what I'm talking about. When I told you all she wasn't scared of Diddy, get the F out of here. She wasn't scared of Diddy at all because a woman who's scared would not be cheating on a man who she's terrified of. Okay? Who does that? All right. So anyway, that was all cap as far as I was concerned, and clearly as far as the jury was concerned too. Nene said that was Laura Ingram, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay, I stand corrected. Yeah, you know Megan Kelly and Laura Ingram. I don't know why, but I always get those two Karens mixed up. Okay, now with that being said, let's go to this other clip where somebody is calling out a liar who lies. Okay, hold on, honey. Y'all got to hear this. I wasn't going to talk about this, but this is too damn funny for me. I got to let y'all hear it. I just got to let y'all hear it because this was hilarious to me, honey. I absolutely cannot. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
And like I said, hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And like I always say, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor.
Oh, and let me just say, shout out to Conversations with Jay. That was the channel of the video I just played. Make sure you follow him. He's actually going to be on a panel with me tonight. Okay, Jay's going to be on a panel with me tonight that I'm going to do, or this evening that I'm going to be doing at 6 o'clock. Okay, also, shout out to Straight Game TV. Okay, this is Delray Richardson. Okay, so shout out to him. Y'all should follow him too. He has some good commentary.
And click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, look, and I need you guys to pay real close attention to what's going on. Once again, I have to do this because to reveal something is to enlighten, right? Is to illuminate, is to shine light on, right? And that's what I do in this instance, ladies and gentlemen. You now have Tisa Tells basically saying that she is exposing Diddy's plan to escape prison, ladies and gentlemen. And the feds just got warning and they called her and let her know about it. And so that she could go on YouTube and tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, that is a bunch of poppycock. That is a bunch of crattle. Ladies and gentlemen, it is simply not true. And the title in itself on the video is what tantamounts to clickbait. because she's not talking about none of those things. Ladies and gentlemen, did he plan to escape? Let's get into some of this straight game, ladies and gentlemen. And I need you to understand, right? You know, Tisa Tells is now claiming, she's now claiming, ladies and gentlemen, that Diddy has a secret escape plan, or had a secret escape plan, and that the feds have been warned. They have been warned. This is what the new clickbaitish title, you know, like I said, that Tisa Tells is pushing. Let that sink in for a minute. You know what I mean? Not even for a minute, for a couple of seconds, because I wouldn't want to fry your brain with the thinking of that, right? But let that sink in for a second, right? She says Diddy escape in federal custody, right?
Now, do y'all hear this? And not that he said it was poppycock. I am so done. What? So Diddy's plotting to escape prison, and the feds gave her the information? But I thought she wasn't paid by the feds, okay? I'm sorry. Please tell on yourself some more, okay? With these lies she's making up. Y'all know the feds ain't told her that. Nicole said, Queen opened my mind. Awareness showed me how fantasy and toxic habits hold people back in our culture, while others win through silent truth and acting accordingly. Absolutely, beloved. I have to absolutely agree, okay? And thank you for saying that I opened your mind. I really appreciate you, beloved. That's what I try to do. I'm just here to educate, enlighten, and inform and inspire. At the end of the day, what I'm not here to do is to tell lies and paint fictitious narratives. Who does that? Oh, I think we all know.
Diddy escape federal custody, ladies and gentlemen. Like it's Prison Break, you know, the hip hop edition. You see what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, that's how she says, you know, and the title, you know, Diddy escape prison, you know, and the feds, right? Like it's Prison Break, the hip hop edition. You remember the TV show, right?
Not Prison Break, hip hop edition. I am so done. Okay.
But here's the real headline, ladies and gentlemen. There's no credible evidence. There's no credible evidence, ladies and gentlemen. No credible source, no law enforcement confirmation, and no public record of such a warning. Just accusations of people who have information that has not been confirmed or disclosed on Tisa Tells YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to understand that. And the funny part is, if you listen to her, you can tell she's reading from a script. You can tell that she's reading from a script. See, that's why she's not live when she's doing it, because she's reading from a script.
Now, she absolutely is reading from a script, you guys. She absolutely is reading from a script. It is so obvious. That's why she is not on camera, because the stuff that she's saying, it seems like somebody gave her a script to say these things. Was it Nancy Grace? I don't know. But I tell you what I do know. It sounds like she's just making up stories and just saying all kind of things that absolutely have no basis or foundation in truth. Okay, please pay attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no credible source, no law enforcement confirmation, and no public record of such a warning. So let me break it down. Let me break it down and break it apart in little pieces so that you understand where I'm coming from, ladies and gentlemen.
If you have pink salt, apple cider vinegar, and baking soda in your kitchen and you're not using this recipe, you're missing.
You know, and I get it, but this is a hell of a crazy, wild claim, you know? I mean, you got to think about what that, like, if it's a secret prison break, if you will, then how does Tisa Tells know? Who told her? But then when you look at the video, you see that the video is not really on what the title says. Right? It's shock and awe. And once you get in there, it's like, oh, damn. Man, she got me again. You know? Right? So in the recent YouTube upload, you know, Tisa Tells released a video titled, you know, Diddy's plan to escape at prison exposed. Feds just got a warning, right? You know, basically she's claiming the federal agent received a warning that Sean Combs may attempt to flee justice, right? And you know what? You know the funny part about this is, as I listened to it, right? She had made claims in regards to no witness tampering being filed. Ladies and gentlemen, witness tampering was a part of the predicate felons under the RICO Act, and it involved mainly with Mia. So as I listened to the video, I know that she was reading from some script that she didn't fully read before she started to disseminate it to you. These are facts, ladies and gentlemen, right? She was like, oh, there's no, I wonder if they're saving it until sentencing. Like saving what until sentencing?
Now, I want you all to pay attention to what he says right there. Sandra says, Tattletale Tisa will get a person unalive for lying for a check. Absolutely. That's why I keep telling you all her lies are dangerous. But I want you all to pay attention to something that he said. She said in her video that wasn't he tampering with witnesses, and basically said that maybe the feds are waiting to use that against him during sentencing. Girl, that was part of the charges against him, okay, for the predicate crimes. Let me just show this on the screen so that you all know exactly what I'm talking about. Indigo says she's a certified nut. I absolutely agree. Okay, I absolutely agree. Now, here's the thing. Let me share my screen. Because this is all so crazy. This is all so crazy. Hold on. Now I want you all to see this. I'm going to try to enlarge this. Now, I think you all can see that, right? Diddy accused of witness tampering. Okay, I typed that in. Sean Diddy Combs is accused of witness tampering in his ongoing trafficking case. Prosecutors allege that he has been attempting to contact and influence potential witnesses, including victims from jail, using family members, other inmates' phone lines. These actions are cited as reasons for denying his bail request, as they indicate a serious risk of obstruction of justice. What is this girl talking about? She's acting like that the feds could have used this against him, but they didn't. And maybe they're holding out for sentencing. She is absolutely insane. And this is why I told you all she doesn't know what she's talking about. And here's the thing. This just goes to prove what I said is true about the fact that she will not read those transcripts online. Okay, that's what she won't do. And also, when I told you guys that when we were inside the courtroom, when the judge would get on the bench and the jurors would be brought in at 9 o'clock, she would go right outside and start doing a video. And we're all like, what the hell is she reporting on? Court just started. They haven't even said anything yet. She has to be out here making up stuff. Okay? And that's what she was doing. She was making up things. Panther Strike says, Queen, Tisa is working with the feds. Who would have told her to say that? None other than the feds. Well, I absolutely believe that somebody's giving her a script, because that's clearly what she's reading. Okay, I believe it's Nancy Grace, though. Okay, I believe it's Nancy Grace. Now, I do believe that she was paid by the prosecution. I still believe that. And then I even more so believe it because she came out and did a video saying that Diddy's team paid people $60,000 to spread propaganda, basically. Okay, I'm sorry. Who got the $60,000? And how did she know how much money that anybody was paid, and if anybody was paid? Okay, was she there? Like, this is all crazy. Now, with that all being said, thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. But y'all see, this just goes to prove that she didn't know what the hell she was talking about in most cases. She was out there to paint narratives and just to spread malicious lies and half-truths, and in some cases, untruths. Okay? Malicious lies. Like, make it all make sense. But let's go back to his video for a second. And then we're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony, because there has been a trial date scheduled for this young man.
Guess what? That goes to show you what I was telling you in the video yesterday, that she didn't actually, or her refusing to look at the court transcripts, she doesn't really know what was going on. Right? That's you wait for sentencing to say something about something being alleged about witness tampering? That was already made and charged with Mia, dealing with the young lady by the name of Mia, ladies and gentlemen. So I know that this was a script she was reading from. I don't know who's giving her the scripts, but she was damn sure reading from one, right? You know, like I said, she also said that the sources are connected to the case fear that Diddy will use private connections or offshore setup, right? Think about that for a minute, right? The sources doesn't reveal them. We don't know who they are. The sources connected to the case fear that Diddy will use private connections or an offshore setup.
If you're here in Georgia and your air conditioning system looks like this one, it's old, it's rusty, it's inefficient.
If Diddy was going to leave, he would have left a long time ago when he found out that he was under investigation when they asked him to turn himself in.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I just want you all to pay attention. Honey, the lies just keep coming, okay? The lies just keep coming. Sunset Night says she makes them up in her head. Okay? Like, what is going on here? Sheila said Nancy Grace got Tisa looking stupid. Nancy won't say that on her channel. Exactly. But she's making her say dumb stuff. I'm telling you, somebody is writing her a script. Gloria said Nancy send her ass up. Okay? It's just ridiculous at this point. Okay? I don't know what's going on with all these lies. I have no idea why anybody would make a fool out of themselves to such a degree. Okay? But anyway, with that all being said, let's talk about Druski, and then we're going to get into Carmelo Anthony. I almost forgot about Druski because Druski faces court hearing in Sean Diddy Combs' civil lawsuit alleging assault and RICO violations. Sean Diddy Combs, Druski, Odell Beckham Jr., they're all facing a federal civil lawsuit over a 2018 S assault and RICO allegations. A key court hearing may determine Druski's dismissal from the case. Now, a federal civil suit involving all of these people that I've just named, okay, they say the case will now see a new progression with the latest hearing set for July the 11th. That's today of 2025. Now, Judge Rita F. Lynn has ordered a video conference, okay, a hearing from 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, July the 11th. Now, this hearing will address motions filed by Druski's legal team. According to the court documents, the judge will hear arguments and may rule in Druski's potential dismissal from the case, following the claims that he wasn't even in California during the alleged assault. So anyway, they say the lawsuit stems from the alleged incident that took place in March of 2018, where the plaintiff, Ashley Parham, had claimed that she was rugged with a D, kidnapped, and gang raped at a house which is believed to be owned by Sean Combs in Orinda, California. The amended lawsuit accused 4 men, including Sean Combs, for orchestrating and participating in a violent S assault, as reported by Page 6. Now, initially, when the case was filed in October of 2023, the lawsuit was just named against Sean Combs. On March 7th of 2025, the lawsuit was amended by Ashley Parham, who to include comedian Druski and NFL wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., along with 2 other men, John and Jane Doe's. Okay? And along with 2 more men, as well as John, I guess it's John and Jane Doe's. Now, each one of them was accused of playing a role in the alleged assault, also with claims of sexual violence, intimidation, and participation in broader civil criminal patterns. So all 3 men, Sean Combs, Druski, and Odell Beckham Jr., have denied the allegations. A representative for Combs had called the accusations unfounded and claimed they had already been dismissed by the Contra Costa Sheriff's Office in 2018. Druski had stated that he was not in California at the time and provided evidence that he was actually in Georgia during the alleged incident. Beckham Jr. also denied knowing the plaintiff, as per a report by SAN, or the SAN. Now, as of now, Druski's legal team has submitted documents which include his phone records and financial statements. These documents are submitted to support his alibi, which states that he was in Georgia during the incident. Judge Lynn, who is presiding over the case, has acknowledged this evidence and may issue a decision after the July 11th of 2025 hearing. Now, as the legal proceedings go on, netizens have created their share of speculations. For Sean Combs, this is one of multiple legal battles and federal investigations he's facing over his involvement in S trafficking. Regarding his track record, he hasn't been able to cultivate a positive sentiment towards himself among the other audience, among a larger audience. Now, as for Druski and Odell Beckham Jr., further hearings will give more details into their actual involvement in the case. So anyway, Druski said he wasn't even there. So if they're lying about that, and this man has evidence, proof, and receipts, so if they're lying about that, they might be lying about the whole darn thing as far as I'm concerned. Now let's talk about Carmelo Anthony, because there's an update where they have actually set a trial date for him. And this was clearly a case, plain and simple, of self-defense. I know some people don't want to believe that, but that's exactly what it was. Okay, now I'm going to go to this news report from News Nation. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Attention at the center of it, 2 Texas high school students. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing another teen, Austin Metcalf, at a track meet back in April. Now, Anthony claims it was self-defense. The outrage stems from the issue of bond, and a court reduced the bond for Anthony from $1 million to $250,000, and he is on house arrest instead of being behind bars. Some say the punishment isn't severe enough. News Nation's investigative reporter Rich McHugh spoke with a representative for the Anthony family and why he's comparing it to another high-profile case of self-defense.
Good morning, Mark. Yeah, this case has become so polarized so quickly. I had the chance to speak with a representative of the Carmelo Anthony family, Minister Dominique Alexander. I asked him about Carmelo Anthony. I asked him about all the questions and the controversy swirling around this tragic case and the recent comparison this man made between Carmelo Anthony and Kyle Rittenhouse. Take a look. Does Carmelo Anthony feel remorse over killing Austin Metcalf?
I've never asked him that question.
Do you have any sense?
I don't know. Have not asked him that question directly. I believe the affidavit expressed what he felt at that moment, and I'll leave it at that.
Do you believe Carmelo Anthony is innocent even after he admitted this to police?
I believe Carmelo has the right to be able to create the same legal defense that anybody is afforded under these state of Texas laws and Constitution. I believe if Carmelo wants to display his self-defense claim, he should be entitled in a court of law without interference. That's what I believe.
Does Carmelo Anthony's family believe he is innocent?
I believe Carmelo Anthony's family wants the process for him to correction. I believe that the Anthony family wants to respect this process and get him prepared for his self-defense claim.
This man is a terrible spokesperson. He's a terrible spokesperson, in my opinion. And I wish that the family would have gotten rid of him a long time ago, because he sounds ridiculous. First of all, of course, his family thinks he's innocent. Okay, they've charged him with murder. Okay, at the end of the day, yes, he's innocent because it was absolutely self-defense. So that means he's innocent. These 2 young men, they say they were bullying him, snatched his phone, threw it on the ground, stomped it, jacked him up and all of that, and punched him. Now, this is what witnesses supposedly said. And there's video footage of the incident, and I find it interesting that police law enforcement has never released that footage. Okay? Do we all have to really wonder why? Right at the end of the day, if this were the shoe on the other foot, and in fact it was a person who looked like or didn't look like me, who did something to someone who looked like Carmelo Anthony, they wouldn't even be sitting in jail 9 times out of 10. Okay, please pay attention. Now, Rodney Williams says the feds don't like to lose. They're going to watch Diddy for the rest of his life, looking for something to stick on him. Of course they are, beloved. That's the same thing they did with OJ. Remember, they were so mad that OJ got off. At the end of the day, they ended up locking OJ up for stealing his own stuff. Okay, when OJ broke in there and stole his Heisman Trophy back and whatever else they had taken from him, he went to jail for robbery, went to prison for robbery. I thought that was all crazy.
I believe the Anthony family feels that, yes, Carmelo Anthony is innocent of this, and they are going to support Carmelo Anthony in this entire process in getting prepared.
Would you agree that the Metcalf family is the victim here?
Any loss of life is a tragedy. Any child that loses his life is a tragedy. no matter the circumstance. That's my answer.
On April 17th, the family of Carmelo Anthony spoke for the first time. But before the press conference began, Austin Metcalf's dad, Jeff, says he was escorted out by police.
Mr. Metcalf has said that he came there to pray with the family, but you had him removed. Why?
We wanted to give our children.
I don't know anything about Mr. Metcalf coming to pray about the family. He never expressed that to any of the staff.
You said the father being at this press conference is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. That was disrespectful. Just shows you all the character. He was not invited. You say it was a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Do you want to clarify that?
You know, at that time, I'm not above reproach or whatever. You know, it was high emotions at that time. And this whole notion that only one individual came up to him about it, that's a lie. You know, I don't want to attack this man. We asked him, we tried to, literally this press conference was delayed an entire hour. We asked him to leave several times. They created this issue that literally didn't need to be.
You mentioned, you made a kind of analogy between Kyle Rittenhouse and Carmelo Anthony. Is there anything you want to clarify about what you said? It's causing quite an uproar.
Whatever uproar it wants to create, Kyle Rittenhouse displayed this was self-defense. And all my correlation is that if Kyle Rittenhouse said self-defense, Carmelo Anthony has the rights to self-defense.
I spoke with the father of Austin Metcalf, Jeff Metcalf, and while he didn't want to do an on-camera interview to rebut these claims, he did tell me in writing, the truth will come out, justice will prevail. Marky?
Okay, so y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. Now let's talk about it, because here's the thing. The trial date for Carmelo Anthony in the fatal track meeting stabbing case has been set. So Carmelo Anthony, the teen accused of fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf during an altercation at a Frisco track meet in April, is set to go to trial on June 1st of 2026. Okay, now Judge John R. Roach will preside over the first hearing in the 296th District Court at 9 a.m. The announcement of the trial date comes after a grand jury indicted Anthony on a murder charge. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, they indicted him on a murder charge in June. Now, according to Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis, the April 2nd stabbing at the Frisco School Stadium struck a nerve, okay, a deep nerve here in Collin County and beyond. He says, when something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and with principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's exactly what this case deserves. For weeks, my team has been presenting evidence to the grand jury. Today, I summarized that evidence, and I asked the grand jury to return a first-degree murder indictment against Carmelo Anthony, which they did. Now, I want you all to pay attention, because a first-degree murder indictment, so they're saying that this man either this young man either lie in wait, or that he premeditated this. Okay? That he planned this out methodically. Premeditated. No, that's not what happened here. Okay, so they sound crazy. But anyway, let's continue. Okay, he's continued to say, we're also mindful of Austin's family and everyone who loved him. Please keep them in your thoughts, and if you're willing, in your prayers as well. According to Willis, a criminal is considered innocent unless and until proven guilty in court. Anthony was released after posting a $250,000 bail. Now, at the time of the attack, students from multiple Frisco Independent School District high schools were participating in a competition. As per the police report, a witness stated that Anthony sat behind Metcalf's team's tent. When Metcalf instructed Anthony to relocate, Anthony responded, touch me and see what happens. Well, that's likely because he threatened to touch him, okay? He didn't just say that out of the blue, touch me and see what happens. When you say those words, somebody likely threatened to put hands on you, and that's what the witnesses say happened. Now, the arrest report indicated that after Metcalf touched Anthony, Anthony told him to strike him and see what happened. Metcalf grabbed Anthony shortly afterward, and Anthony stabbed him with a knife. So he grabbed him. Now I want y'all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. He struck him, he touched him, and then he struck him. Yeah, because they said he pushed him first and then he punched him. So I'm sorry. How is that not self-defense? It's an open and shut case. How the hell is this first-degree murder? Okay, how was it premeditated? Okay, and if somebody even says to you out of the blue, touch me and see what happens, and then you proceed to touch them, or they say punch me and see what happens, and you do, that's on you. Because at the end of the day, to every action, there's a reaction, and you don't get to decide or determine how someone's going to react to something you did to them. If you slap me, I'm not going to slap you back. I'm going to punch you in your face. Okay? I'm going to escalate the situation. That's how that goes. That's how that goes. You cannot expect that someone is going to give you back the same amount of energy that you gave them. So if someone says that to you, that should be a warning to tread lightly or just leave them the hell alone. But no, from what I heard, he and his brother, Austin and his brother, were bullies. They had bullied and gotten into fights with many people, supposedly. Okay? Now, I wasn't there, but according to Quanell X and others, witnesses on the scene said that they came up to him and asked him to move, get him out of that seat. Okay. At the end of the day, they said that he was there under the tent with people from Austin Metcalf's school and told him he wasn't moving. Okay. That's when it escalated to where Austin put hands on him, said both of the brothers shoved him, snatched his phone, slammed it on the ground and stomped it. Okay. And then punched him. Now, Austin's the one that they say punched him. But here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention to something else I pointed out months ago when this came out. The other brother, and I forget his name, he actually should have been charged as well with his own brother's death. Because anytime, and y'all know this is the law, and I find it interesting that this never pertains to people who don't look like me. Okay? He was involved in the altercation, but yet he didn't go to jail when his brother died. Isn't it a fact that when someone dies in the commission of a felony, someone gets killed, that the people involved in that felony are supposed to be held responsible for the charge? Let's remember the black kid who was 16 years old, who he and his friend were committing burglary. An officer shot his friend and killed him, but they charged the 16-year-old with the murder and gave him 65 years in prison. Y'all don't remember that? I find it very interesting. And also, let's talk about another case. Remember the white man who had his 6-year-old autistic son in the backseat of a car as he fled the police? And then when the police opened fire on his car, because they didn't know the son was in there, and because he tried to hit them with the vehicle, once they were shooting at him and the son got killed, they didn't charge him with his own son's death, which he absolutely should have been. He was in the commission of a whole felony that led to his son's death. But because he had the complexion for the protection, that didn't fly. And so I want you to pay attention. It's the same thing here. Okay, see, this is why when we do get a win, when the wheels of justice absolutely turn in the right direction, I'm going to always celebrate, period. Okay, so should we all. Now, with that all being said, let me continue. So he goes on to say, the arrest report indicated that Metcalf touched Anthony and Anthony told him to strike him and see what happened. And Metcalf grabbed Anthony shortly afterward and Anthony stabbed him with a knife. Anthony later informed an officer that Metcalf had put his hands on me and that he was defending himself. Mike Howard, Anthony's lawyer, said Anthony was excited for his court appearance. So he does have an attorney. Mike Howard is his attorney because someone asked, why didn't they hire him an attorney with the money they raised? They did hire him an attorney. Okay, and then someone said the family's asking for more money. Well, they probably are, because for this type of case, it's going to be very expensive. They've just indicted him with murder 1. That's going to be expensive, okay? That's going to be a very expensive case. Now, we expect that when the full story is heard, the prosecution will not be able to rule out the reasonable doubt that Carmelo Anthony may have acted in self-defense, Howard says. They can't rule it out. It's cut and dry. Okay, it absolutely was self-defense, and the video is going to prove it. That's why they're not showing the video. I don't even know why they're wasting taxpayers' money on this, because they know darn well Carmelo Anthony never should have been charged in the first place. Now let's talk about the nefarious, the one that some of us love to hate, Charleston White. Okay, Charleston White has basically come out and apologized to Carmelo Anthony because he was going in on this young man in the first place. Charleston White apologized to Carmelo Anthony and now wants black people to support the murder suspect. Says, I want to take the time to apologize to Carmelo Anthony's family. I was wrong about that kid. Of course you were, Charleston White, with your silly self. Maybe you should get facts, details, and receipts before you just open your stupid little mouth and start saying foolish things. An apologetic Charleston White, who is known for his outrageous commentary on social issues, has come out in support of murder suspect Carmelo Anthony after a meeting with the teenager's family. Anthony, 17, who was arrested and jailed in April after being accused of stabbing another 17-year-old by the name of Austin Metcalf, stabbing him to death after an altercation at a high school track meet, has proclaimed his innocence in the incident. Now, he was released after the judge, who placed a $1 million bond on Anthony, reduced it to $250,000. He was engaged in an argument with Metcalf and his brother under a tent at the school event. Anthony is currently under house arrest. Anthony stated that he stabbed the boy in self-defense after the victim allegedly attacked him after trying to make him move from under the tent. Here's the thing. This is a clear-cut case of self-defense because, first of all, Austin Metcalf and his brother, they attacked him. Okay? If somebody, specifically two people, attack you, see, I want you all to pay attention, because what they don't report is that both of them attacked him. They keep saying Austin Metcalf, but he and his brother attacked him. That's facts, according to witnesses. Both of them. Okay, and didn't they both weigh over 200 pounds? And we can clearly see that Carmelo is slim. Okay, he's not that big. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you like this: if somebody 6'3", weighing 240 pounds attacks me, you think I'm gonna fight them with my hands? No, I'm gonna pick up the first thing I can pick up. That's how that's gonna go. But let's continue. All right, so you've been warned is all I'm saying. Now, the case has made national news because Anthony is black and Metcalf is white. Although Metcalf was purportedly the aggressor, many have not given him the benefit of the doubt or the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. The headlines have stated the obvious along racial lines in national media coverage, with most painting Anthony as guilty without even hearing all the facts or there being a trial. This is often the case with Black people. Black people are often deemed guilty until proven innocent, not the reverse, which is supposed to be the way it goes. White comedian and entrepreneur was one of the people who felt that Anthony had to be guilty without knowing anything about the case. Well, that's because he's an idiot. Okay. However, all of that changed after the man who typically goes viral based on his commentary on street issues and Black culture now states that the 17-year-old will be found innocent. In a video clip that has gone viral, he apologizes to the Anthony family for his comments doubting the innocence of the 17-year-old honor student. He says, "I want to take time to apologize to Carmelo Anthony's family. I was wrong about that kid." He went on to state that he had met with Anthony's father and obtained the story of what happened on that fateful day. He discovered that Austin Metcalf and his brother were known bullies in town, and when they noticed Anthony under the tent, they tried to force him to leave. He said he was under the impression that Anthony brought the knife to school with him, but found that wasn't the case. Well, like I said, maybe he should have done his due diligence first before speaking on it. Now, White goes into detail about what the father told him about the incident and concludes that Anthony will beat the charges. In fact, he is now of the opinion that Carmelo should have killed both of the brothers based on their reputation of being bullies, even finding out that Austin physically assaulted his father. Y'all hear this? First of all, he said he should have killed both of the brothers. How silly is that? Okay, it's not like he's a cold-blooded monster. He was just trying to defend himself. Charleston White says the most outlandish things, saying he should have killed both of them, and then he found out that Austin physically assaulted his father. He wants Black people to rally around the family. If Austin assaulted his father, that doesn't have anything to do with this case necessarily, but it does show that he clearly had a propensity towards violence. Okay, because if you're a young man and you attack your own father, yeah, that definitely shows that you have a propensity towards violence. Okay, now with that all being said, Queen Sam says they tried to make him move, not just one of them, both of them. Exactly. And here's another thing. Let me just show you all this video clip before I roll out of here. This is a video that I recorded at the court. You all have already seen it, but I'm going to show it again because this just goes to prove. And people were mad because people were calling Tisa out on her lies. Well, people were calling anybody who lied out on their lies at the courthouse. And the only two people that were calling out was Tisa and Trent out loud. Do you all remember that? So let me go to the footage. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. So for the people that say, oh, they're hating on Tisa, they going in on her. No, they were just calling out. We were all calling out anybody who was lying, which was her and Trent. Okay.
say? To the security guard, and the security guard tell you that she's
Okay, so guys, there's drama going on up here at the courthouse. We're outside waiting to get in. It doesn't start till 2. First they said 12 and now they're saying 2. And we're out here and there's a bit of a kerfuffle going on because a young man by the name of Trent from Canada said that he actually saw the freak-off footage when we were in court. Now, none of the rest of us saw it, and people are calling him out and they're accusing him of lying. Now, I don't know if he's lying or not. I've talked to Trent before. He's a very nice person, in my opinion. But people are calling him out and saying that he's a liar who lies and saying that he didn't see anything and he's doing it for clicks and views. I just want you all to pay attention, honey, because I don't have time for drama. That's why I try to report honestly and have integrity with my podcast, okay? With my streaming. Because at the end of the day, when you start saying things that aren't true, people are going to call you out on it. Now, I'm not saying that he's lying, but these people clearly don't believe that he saw the freak-off footage. Well, there you have it, people.
If I saw something and I tapped her on the shoulder and told her, and somebody said she saw it too, I'm going to say I saw it and I tapped her. I'm not going to do. You see, this is a lesson for us. They will not have your back even when they throw you in the fire. Case in point, we upstairs with Diddy. That's all.
Okay, Anita said the white student killed that Mexican student in the bathroom and he brought the knife to school, but the court treated him softly. Yes, and he stabbed that young man in the throat, okay, in his carotid artery, I do believe, and in his liver, okay, and in his heart. He stabbed him in all the key places that would lead to someone's death. It's like he knew exactly where to do it, and I think that he did. And so that was premeditated because he brought a knife to school. Okay. And that being said, they're talking about giving him anywhere from like 6 months to 2 years or something like that. And I find that all interesting. Okay. Please pay attention. That just lets you know how the system is so biased. Okay. Hold on. I want to go to some of these comments. Dorada said, Queen said kerfuffle. Yeah, I was trying to make y'all laugh. Okay. Miss Sheila said, I saw someone chasing him after the verdict. Honey, it was a crowd of people chasing his behind. Okay, after the verdict. Because they said he was just lying. Him and Tisa, they're friends too, just so you know. So they both tell lies. Okay. Now, Anita says, but with Carmelo, they're acting like they want to throw the whole library at him. Yes, of course they do. Of course they do, beloved. Okay. Queen Sarah said, Queen couldn't have a day without them noises every day. That's New York for you. I know. I'm like, dang, how many sirens do they have? Okay. Okay, I just want y'all to pay attention. At the end of the day, honey, people out here accusing this man of telling lies. When he, in fact, says that he absolutely, beyond a reasonable doubt, saw the freak-off footage while we were in courtroom. Now, I was in court, too. I didn't see it, but he says that he did. Now, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but people do not believe what he is saying. They're accusing. Tanika said, I love Trent. He reported honestly. He is not one-sided either. Yeah, he is a one-sided. And, you know, I like Trent. But at the end of the day, I still don't think he saw that freak-off footage. I just don't think so. I was sitting right behind him, and I didn't see it. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't see it, but I don't believe that, okay? I don't believe that. Listen to him lying for clicks and views. He said that another man saw it as well, and that man would not confirm what he, in fact, said, and said he didn't see anything. So now with that all being said, it is drama up here at the courthouse. This Diddy trial has taken on a whole nother level of nefariousness. And I want you all to pay attention because at the end of the day, this is why you must always have and exercise journalistic integrity. You cannot be out here painting narratives, saying things just because they sound salacious and not being able to prove them with facts and receipts. Okay, this is you didn't see what you saw. But you say that you said it. Now, I can't verify. But if you say you said it, who am I to say you're lying? Yes, absolutely.
People who don't want to believe it's completely
Absolutely.
For the public. I put things out there in the public. I said it on my live. The public have to be ready for the scrutiny.
That's right.
30 seconds to a minute of the freak-off tape. This guy was the one who alerted me. He said, Trent, look at that guy's screen. One of Diddy's tech guys. The security guy saw that we were watching it. He went to Diddy's guy and said, yo, people could see it in the gallery.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That's it. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you.
Check me out on YouTube, Trent Out Loud.
Trent Out Loud. Y'all follow him. Okay, so with that all being said, you heard it from Trent's own mouth. Now, like I told you, I didn't see anything, but at the end of the day, you know, people are just saying things, you know. I told you all, Trent's a nice person as far as I know. And at the end of the day, you have to make sure you have journalistic integrity.
Okay, so anyway, with that being said, Trent says he saw it, honey. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. Like I said, I was sitting behind him, and I didn't see it. But I will say this. I will say this, though, beloveds. There was an incident in court where we could hear a bit of the audio. We couldn't hear exactly what was going on. It sounded like some moaning, maybe. We could hear a bit of the audio. And then one of the marshals went and told the attorneys or whomever it was to take it away from the mic. Now, that did happen. But as far as seeing the freak-out tapes, I don't know. I didn't see it, but they chased Trent up out of that courthouse, honey. They chased him out of the courtyard, shall I say. We were outside. I think I captured that on video. It was too funny. I'm like, why are y'all bothering Trent? Okay, so anyway, but like I said, I like Trent. I'm not going to say that he sits up there and makes up lies out of the thin blue air or just paints narratives or any of that stuff that somebody else does. Tisa, he doesn't do that. Okay, I don't recall him ever doing anything like that. Okay, and he was pretty much impartial. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, let me show you all this little clip that I thought was cute and funny, and then I'm out of here. But don't forget that I will be back later on because we're having another panel discussion. Okay. Sheila said, don't know if he's lying. He's handsome. Sit down somewhere, okay? Sit down somewhere, okay? Attractive people get a pass, honey. Light-skinned and attractive people get a pass. Now, he is a handsome person. Okay, now with that all being said, and Tisa's a beautiful young lady, okay? So with that all being said, let's go to this little clip because I thought this was hilarious, you all. I'm going to have to put an overlay on here because I don't know whose video this actually is, but I was enjoying it. It was hilarious to me. Because y'all know I like to see Little Miss Jasmine Crockett go off, right? And that's what this was about. Hold on.
Curious, just to better understand your ruling, if someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling, if someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Now that was cute and funny, okay? All right, AI is something else. All right, Hot Coco says, I love your commentary and the show. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm out of here. Listen, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one, teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, and never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Okay, so we're going to have a panel discussion this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure you tune black in, honey, because I promise you, you don't want to miss it. Okay? So until next time, beloveds, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Hey, yo, Nick, hit him with that gold all in my skin. God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got